and we're good.
Good. Thank you, Mr. Russell. Good evening, everyone, and to our fourth electronic Zoom meeting. I appreciate everyone joining us tonight. Just to give us a little background, the first part of our meeting is called Workshop. At this part of the meeting, we discuss the items that are on the regular meeting, and then we'll take action on some of those items. After Workshop, we'll take a motion from a councilman to move into the regular meeting so that we can conduct our business. So if Brian doesn't mind, maybe you can give us a little background to how people are going to get called on this evening with the Zoom process.
Yep, thank you, Mayor. So very easy for tonight's meeting. Again, everything is done by remote access. If you're remote accessing by phone only, you will hear the council and hear attendees' questions. You will not be able to raise your hand or ask a question. We do ask that I can give you my email address, and of course you can email, and I do check that constantly. Just give us your name and address and your question, and I will read that aloud for the mayor and council to hear during the public comment portions. My email address is bryan.russell@aberdeenNJ.org. If you're using a smartphone, all you have to do is just click on the link to our meetings tonight, and you'll automatically be brought into our meeting. If you need to put the meeting phone number and the meeting ID, it is a part of the our legal notice for this evening, or just press the prompt number sign button. If you're not using a smartphone, again, you just enter the meeting phone number. When prompted, enter the meeting ID, and then press the pound sign if prompted, and press the pound sign again. The preferred options, again, are always with your PC, laptop, or a tablet. You will hear and see the council and hear attendees' questions. You will have you will have the option of using the raised hand button. If you do not have the raised hand, if you do look at the options of the reaction button, just put a thumbs up. I will see that, and then unmute the resident at that time to speak. If not, then if you have anything else, you'll be muted up until the time of either the public hearings or when it's time for public comments or public comment on agenda items only. And rather than that, Mayor, all those directions are now complete.
Thank you very much, Brian. And yes, we'll make sure we let everyone know when there's going to be a public part of the meeting. Workshop, there will be no public part. So again, I'd like to welcome everyone to the Aberdeen Township Workshop meeting for Thursday, the 21st. Roll call, please.
Councilman Cannon.
Here.
Councilman Hirsch.
Here.
Councilwoman Kelly.
She's muted.
Here.
Councilwoman
Here.
Montone.
Here.
Councilman Swindell.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Martucci.
Here.
Mayor Taglerini.
Here. Thank you very much, Karen. And Brian, would you like to walk us through the workshop agenda, please?
Sure, Mayor, not a problem. First up, we will have a new ordinance for tonight for introduction. It's the 2020 salary ordinance. Mayor and council, you all have a copy of that in front of you. The only change, there has been no changes to the min and maxes. The only change that was added is assistant planning and zoning secretary. That's the only addition to the ordinance. All other titles are the same from the previous year, along with the salary ranges for their min and maxes. Number two is the 2020 municipal budget amendment. Again, you have a copy of that in front of you. If there's any questions for that, I would turn it over to Angela to give a small update on that. So Angela, if you don't mind, just giving a brief summary of the amendment, please.
Mm-hmm. Oh, right now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, sorry. Yes, the only amendment that we really did was for sewer and water. And the reason for that is because we just closed on the New Jersey Infrastructure Environmental Trust account, and that was for the Woodfield project. So we closed on May 15th, which was last Friday. I got the final numbers, and there is a payment due in this year, so I had to put it into the sewer and the water budget. But other than that, that's it.
Thank you. Number 3 is authorizing the purchase from the National Joint Purchasing Alliance vendors. So that is a co-op that the township is becoming a member of. It just gives us another buying power of going through another agency as a co-op to buy from. We already buy from state contract vendors, different county vendors, and again, you just have to be a member of the different consortiums to be able to buy from vendors. So that is to allow us to be a member of the National Joint Purchasing Alliance. Number 4 is authorizing purchases from the Omni partner vendors. That piggybacks off of number 3. We are using the Omni partners. They're actually a group that has been doing supplying PPE. So we've been actually the prices were very decent with them. So we are buying some more PPE for DPW, Town Hall, the police department, all through this vendor. And again, we have to be part of the alliance to then use this vendor as a supplier. And number 5 is it's just a discussion for this evening in workshop for the New Jersey Department of Transportation FY 2021 State Aid Program. Myself, Councilman Cannon, our CME engineer Anthony, I think, is on the call with us, and I believe Councilman Martone. And I apologize, I don't remember who else was on the meeting with us. We're reviewing roads for the 2021. I'm sorry, Councilman Hirsch, thank you. I apologize. We're going over roads for 2021 state aid program, talking with Anthony, and then also trying to figure out what the best, to get the best project for the money that we hopefully will receive and for discussion with all the mayor and council members tonight, was to finish up the other half of Van Brackle from Route 34 going, I guess that's west, I believe, Councilman Cannon, back up to the center, because we're already going to be doing from Duda down to I believe it's Justice in the next couple weeks, and then hopefully we'll get a grant again for next year for 2021, and we'll be able to do the other half, and all of Van Brackle will be done. I turn it to, if Councilman Cannon, if you have any comments, I turn it over to you if you want to make some comment on what we were discussing.
We're just trying to determine with Anthony's expertise what we would have the best chance of getting money to continue our road programs on the connector roads. It looks like Cliffwood Avenue will be done mostly the way to Beach Drive with phase 2, so that would just be 2 phases. And then the question was what would give us a better chance to get grant money, trying to do Van Brackle, which is a road we've already started with our own money, or Prospect, which is the worst condition road that connects to a state highway left in town. And the engineer determined that a continuation of the project, or informed us, would get us the best chance. So that's what our ad hoc committee, I guess, would recommend to the council. Councilman Montone and Hirsch, if you want to add anything, feel free.
Councilman Cannon, that was correct. We did talk about the best advantage to get the most money from the grant, and we were also very pleasantly surprised to see how many of these roads are going to be completed in grants that we already received. You might want to mention all of them. I know you said Cliffwood, but wasn't there another one as well, Councilman Cannon?
Well, county, we used 5 different grants. So county was 5 phases, and so we completed that, and then so we don't need the money there anymore. And we used that money on West Prospect previously, that connected to the highway and Riverdale, and we used the money for Cliffwood Avenue coming up, which is in 2 phases, and that'll complete all the way to Beach Drive. It looks like, depending on the bids, but it looks like it's going to go all the way to Beach Drive. essentially whatever isn't bid this year will be bid next year in phase 2. And so that leaves Van Brackle, which is halfway done to from line to Justice, or Justice Highway 34, and Prospect, which needs just a lot of work after all the sewer repairs and everything that went on over there. So that will be next after, knock on wood, assuming we get the money for Van Brackle.
Thank you.
Okay. Rather than that, unless mayor or council, if you have any questions on the workshop, on any of the items that are going to be coming up, please ask them now. And like I said, myself, Angela, and Anthony are on the calls if there's any kind of discussion or comments.
Thank you for a very thorough report to the committee. Thank you.
And rather than that, Mayor, I have nothing else for workshop. I know I'll have myself and the rest of our department heads that are on for tonight. The chief, my PIO is here. Angela, of course, is here, and Karen. We'll have reports during the regular meeting, but rather than that, there's nothing else for workshop that I have.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to move out of workshop into regular meeting.
Can I have a second, please?
A
I'll
second.
second it.
Okay, great. All in favor of that?
Aye.
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 Good. Well, good evening again, and welcome to the Aberdeen Township regular meeting for May 21st. I want to thank you again for joining us tonight and looking up at what's going on in town. As you'll hear tonight, it's still business as usual for us, just a little bit more difficult to conduct business, but we will get through this together. So roll call, please.
Councilman Cannon.
Here.
Councilman Hirsch.
Here.
Councilwoman Kelly.
Here.
Councilwoman Montone.
Here.
Councilman Swindell.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Martucci.
Here.
Mayor Tagliarini.
Here, thank you very much. Tonight, as you see on the agenda, the moment of silence, and traditionally, if you've been following us the past decade or so, we make it a point to always thank the men and women in the military who fight to keep us safe and to allow us to have meetings like this. And of course, what we're going through right now, we've been adding police and fire and first responders and CERT and all the other folks who are helping us to protect us here in Aberdeen. And of course, we always ask you to keep our doctors and nurses and medical technicians and researchers in mind as they help to find a cure for this particular virus. So at this point in time, I invite you to have a moment to yourself for any personal thoughts that you have. I thank you very, very much. And we know this has been difficult doing this, but we just feel that we should do this and continue to do this. So in your place where you may be, if you would do a salute to our great flag, that would be great. To the flag of the United States
of America,
And to
To the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty,
liberty,
justice
and justice
for all.
for all.
Very good. Thank you all very, very much for that. And what I'd like to do now, sticking with the agenda, is to have reports. And I will first call on the chief of police if he has anything he'd like to give us, what's going on with the PD and safety, etc.
Certainly, Mayor. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Since our last council meeting, the police department is up to full patrol strength. We have, we're doing very well. Everybody's in good shape. We do have 2 sergeants that are still out. We expect one to be back in the next week or so, and we still have 1 on the mend. We did change the schedule back in March to address the COVID-19 pandemic, and we're in a transition now back to our normal 4-4 schedule, and that should be completed by beginning of June. We expect to see with the improved weather and the restrictions that are being loosened by the governor, we expect to see a lot more activity around town, down the beach. We're not saying bad activity. I'm just saying more activity, and so we're probably going to be a lot busier in the next few weeks. Also, we're preparing with the pandemic came along some opportunists. So we have some scams out there, and we're going to have Lieutenant Lloyd and Britt Terciano prepare a public service announcement about some of these things that are going on. One is a bail scam. I'm not sure if you've heard about that. I'll briefly describe it. It's, you get a phone call, and usually, and these are targeted at our seniors. What they're doing is they'll call up and say you have a family member that's been arrested in jail and needs bail money, and we'll come get the bail money, and we don't want to embarrass you. We'll park around the corner, but you need to get some money. That one's all over the state, so we're going to put a public service announcement out about that. Another one is about the IRS, owing the IRS money that you need to pay up right away or you're going to go to jail. That's the second one. And then the final one are the contact trackers, the people that are trying to track down individuals who have been exposed by the COVID virus. People are calling up and they're getting personal information, bank account numbers and social security numbers, and people are just concerned. So we want to put the word out there that if you come across any of this stuff, either, the first thing you should do is call the police. So that's going to be done this week, hopefully, and be out by early next week. As far as the COVID stats, most of the numbers, but particular to Aberdeen, since we've been tracking to date, we've had 192 locations identified where people were positive for COVID, so the number of individuals higher than that 192. But the good news is that since we began tracking, about 128 of those have been removed from the list, so that the total right now is about 64. So the numbers are heading in the right direction. You're aware of there's been a number of executive orders issued since the last meeting. 142, which opened up the construction net to businesses that were previously listed as not essential. And also in that is the gathering restriction, which affects the churches that want to have parking lot services, drive-in services. We've been in touch with Pastor Lee about this just yesterday. If they want to drive, if the congregants want to bring or drive cars, and as long as they're more than 6 feet apart, they can keep the windows open and enjoy the service. If they're closer than 6 feet, they will they'll have to keep the windows up. And if anybody's outside, they're going to have to maintain the same social distancing, no more than 10, and then wear masks as well. Executive Order 143 that came out, it opens up the private and public beaches, boardwalks, and there's also restrictions. Where that affects us is the spray park. So I don't know if we're going to be able to open that on time. That's going to have, I imagine, remain closed. Also, right now, any outside concerts, fireworks, festivals, things of that nature, movies, we're not going to be able to do until they remove that restriction. And then 147 was also issued, and what remains closed are the picnic areas, playgrounds, and fitness centers. As far as our beach goes, Cliffwood Beach, we instituted some parking restrictions and blocked off the seawall in certain areas behind the residents, and that seemed to work for us. We limited the amount of people up on the seawall. They were still able to gain access and fish. I think the residents were happy. We didn't get any complaints. The striper run is now over, so there's less fishermen at the beach, but we're going to see increased walkers and sunbathers. I had mentioned to the manager a couple weeks ago, we wanted to get the drone up in the air. Unfortunately, the weekends, the weather conditions and wind conditions just weren't right to allow us to get that up in the air. But we're going to continue to look to use that because we think we're going to have a bigger crowd at the beachfront. So like I said, with the improved weather and the lifting of the restrictions, we expect more activity down the beach. Graduations, we expect guidance tomorrow on graduations. I know we received some phone calls from some folks and residents that wanted to do these wave parades. What we're finding, that's putting a strain on our fire departments and the volunteers that are going out. So we're trying to come to find a solution to that. Myself and Chief Falco from Mattawan are going to meet with Dr. Micah tomorrow to discuss graduations. There may be a possibility of an open air graduation, and they have a plan in place. So we're going to discuss that tomorrow. And I believe Deputy Mayor Martucci and Councilwoman Kelly are on that committee to deal with the graduation. So we're supposed to meet on Wednesday, and there was some conflicts with the appointments, so it's going to happen tomorrow. And finally, the fire company will be conducting a small Memorial Day service on Monday. It'll be probably 1 or 2 people with a chaplain, and we're going to just place a wreath and have a moment of silence and recognize our veterans. And that's the end of my report.
Well, thank you, Chief, very much. And as I've been saying right along on behalf of the council, you're doing an outstanding job, and more importantly, your police officers and your executive staff is doing an excellent job, and we're indebted to you.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll pass that along as well.
Thank you, sir. What I'd like to do is do a little bit of housekeeping. All of a sudden, it seems like we got some correspondence, which we hadn't been getting for a while. But I'd like to talk tonight about one of the things that our CFO and town manager joined me on a meeting with the county. And if you all remember, the first stimulus that was passed left the municipalities a little bit bothered, including yourself and this council. We realized that we were not a municipality the size of 500,000 people, far from it. And that seemed to have been the cutoff for stimulus. Conversely, Monmouth County was approved because of the population, and not every county in the state of New Jersey received it. What the freeholders decided to do was to take this CARE Act, that we call it, and that every COVID expense that we have as a township, which we did not budget for, and that's maybe a ridiculous statement even to make, because who knew we were going to get this, but all the expenses that we incur from COVID, our manager and CFO will file that with the county and hope we'll get back as much as we spend. So things like overtime and laptops and signs that we make, temporary signs, and you think about it, and that's what we'll put in for it. So we're very fortunate that the freeholders have come up with that plan, and we will certainly take advantage of it. And maybe Brian can expand on that a little bit when you have your report. The other thing that the committee worked on was when businesses opened up again this past Monday, we're going to redo or increase the size of businesses that in Aberdeen that are open, and we'll compile a list of restaurants and auto repair and mom and pop stores, anything that opened. And we sent an email out to everyone and collected a list of names of people who opened on Monday. And we want to do everything possible we can to help our business community. I mentioned earlier that 3 quick more things, and I'll move on. But, and I'm going to give this to Brittany. Habitat for Humanity has restarted their ramps and rails program for those people who could use help getting in and out of their home. It's a great program, and we'll probably put it on our email. We'll probably put it on Husky Vision, and we'll get the word out on who qualifies for ramps and rails. That just came today, so that was very timely. And on a sad note, we lost a dear friend a couple weeks ago, Mayor Paul Smith of Union Beach. And we, of course, thanks to our police chief, sent a car down to them to help with the traffic. I certainly participated in that memorial. And I do want to publicly thank Councilman Cannon for writing a story about a July 4th event right after Sandy, where Paul was mayor, and helped rebuild that town. And Gregory wrote a nice remembrance of how we went down to celebrate with Union Beach. And Greg, I greatly appreciate that. And it was a job well.
Paul's a great guy. It's really
Yeah.
sad.
Very, very sad. And I think for me at the moment, that should do it. And I'd like to call on Deputy Mayor Martucci at this point for a report that he might have.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a number of things to report. Our parks are still passive at this point. We have not opened up our playgrounds or our basketball courts as per executive order. So we will continue to do that, but please enjoy the beautiful weather that's out there and, use the parks as much as possible. Chief Darrell Hilo did mention a couple of the executive orders, which I will not repeat, but there are a number that I would like to put out there for you. Executive Order number 145, allowing elective surgeries and invasive procedures, both medical and dental, to resume on Tuesday, May 26th at 5 a.m. These procedures will resume according to policies that will be issued by the New Jersey Department of Health and the Division of Consumer Affairs. And then Executive Order Executive Order number 146, which allows charter fishing services and for hire vessels activities, as well as watercraft and rental businesses to open with required social distancing measures. These businesses were allowed to open on Sunday, May 17th at 6 p.m. last week. And Executive Order number 147, allowing certain outdoor activities at recreational businesses, including archery ranges, batting cages, golf driving ranges, horseback riding, shooting ranges, and tennis clubs, as well as community gardens to open with required social distancing measures in place. The order takes effect on Friday, May 22nd at 6 a.m. And then just coming out today from the DEP, they launched Mask Up campaign, encouraging residents and visitors to wear face coverings in state parks, beaches, and public spaces. With the warmer weather and Memorial Day coming this weekend, Mask Up reminds New Jerseyans that we can enjoy outdoors and keep our community safe during the COVID-19 public health emergency. The campaign includes posters and social media content that will be displayed prominently in our parks, beaches, and outdoor spaces. Wearing a mask while near others outdoors is an important way to keep all New Jerseyans from spreading COVID-19. Please stay safe. Remember, this is not a requirement, but is a suggestion by the Department of Environmental Protection and our CDC. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councilman Cannon, something to report on?
Yes. Well, I actually kind of did half of the report already. I was going to report on our meeting on the roads and the fact that our roads program continues, notwithstanding the ongoing crisis as essential construction. I've had a few bumps in the road in Deerfield in the D section where some of the markouts are wrong and the cable line has been hit a couple times, but Brian's on that. We're straightening that out. We don't have any word yet from New Jersey Natural Gas as to when they're coming to Sherwood. But otherwise, we're moving forward. And Anthony gave us updates on each of those projects I mentioned earlier, as well as the upcoming grant application, which we'll see it pop up on our agenda before July 1st. So that whole discussion we were talking about before, I wanted to mention, we will talk about that again and then approve Anthony to make the grant application with everyone's say so and assent. So, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Hirsch, something for tonight?
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate that. I have a couple of things. First of all, congratulations, Aberdeen. Great job. We have already surpassed the 2010 census response level. We are now at 72%, which is above where we were 10 years ago. But ladies and gentlemen, it ain't enough. If we're going to get the funding we want to keep our taxes stable and give us the legislative representation in Washington that we so deserve, we need to complete the census. 3 minutes online, done. We have the time. Let's do it, please. Let's help our town. Next, we have a new program in town, ladies and gentlemen, and we're hoping that as many residents that can will participate in it. It's called the Security Camera Registry. If you have a security camera on your property, please notify the Aberdeen PD and let them know that you have a camera available on your property. So should a crime exist or should the police need to find out what's going on in the neighborhood, the more cameras they have and the more angles they have, the better shot they have of doing their job as well as they normally do. We appreciate all of your support, and we really appreciate all of those with security cameras to step forward and let us know you have them. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we will get through this together. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman. Very, very good. Councilwoman Kelly.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the graduation committee that spoke about a little earlier. Councilwoman Dina Gunn from Manawan and myself are serving on a committee with the superintendent, Micah, and other school officials to try to come up with ideas to make this year's graduation special for our seniors. Kind of on a personal note, it's important to me because my grandson's a senior, he's graduating this year. And just like all the other parents in the community, we really want graduation to be special. And we have been working, we have a lot of good ideas. The problem is that everything keeps changing. You know, every time a new rule is announced and the guidelines are changed and the restrictions are freed up, we're allowed to do more. At one time, this was going to be completely. Ricky said there's been some loosening up and there's been some ideas where there can be in small groups, open air kind of a receiving of the diplomas, and we're discussing all of those. The superintendent has been keeping in touch with the parents occasionally by sending out letters. Important ones because they've been together 13 years and then they're gone. But there are a lot of students that have other money. So we're trying to make theirs special too. So we've been talking about doing a web page where people can go into the web page and write congratulations and post pictures. And these are just some of the ideas we've been talking about. So hopefully we will know soon what we're doing and everybody will be informed. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilwoman Montone.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight, I'm just going to give a quick report on the Parks Committee. The members of the Parks Committee are Mayor Tagliarini, Councilwoman Kelly, and myself, Councilwoman Montone. And this committee was responsible for working to establish Freena Woods Park. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that at that time, Councilman Cannon was part of this committee as well. And he left this committee because he was needed somewhere else, and Councilwoman Kelly was very kind to jump in. The Freena Woods Park is part of the Monmouth County Park System. We also worked on the updating of Veterans Park, which includes the Spray Park and the Seawalk at Cliffwood Beach. At the completion of those projects, we began working on a 5-year plan to update parks throughout the township. To date, we've updated the following parks with new playscapes, in some cases resurfacing or adding basketball courts, upgrading athletic fields, adding walkways, and a few other things as well. So Andover, Deerfield, Midland Park, Overlook Park, Harrison Park, Phase 1 of Ivy Hill Park, and Phase 1 of Storyland Park have already been completed. Next week, the committee will be meeting with our engineer, Julie Nastasi, to discuss the status of the current park projects, which include Phase 2 at Storyland and Ivy Hill Parks, Fordham Park, and Joseph Bookett Park. This meeting will include the status of the Monmouth County Open Space Grant also. The next council meeting, I hope to give you a more detailed report on these projects and speak about some of our future projects as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Margaret. And I think it's fair to say it's fun. It's a fun committee to be on, so Connie and Margaret and I are enjoying it immensely. And of course, we report everything back to the council, and it is quite enjoyable to do that. Now I'd like to call on Councilman Swindell for a report.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to remind everyone that the gates at the DPW yard are open to the public. The new hours are Tuesday and Thursdays from 7 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. and Saturdays from 7 a.m. to 12 noon. They have started the sweeping of the roads as per calendar. They've completed the J, the O, the W, the F, Randall Way, Woodbrook, the Big I, Van Brackle, and partial Line Road. They've continued with the small I, the B, the C, and the other sections as per calendar. The Monmouth County Reclamation Center will resume permitting residents access to their facility as of Wednesday, May the 20th, 2020. The resident drop-off tent will be open on Wednesday and Thursday from 7 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. and Saturdays from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. That's it as far as my report.
Thank you very much, Councilman. I'd like to turn to our town manager for the state of the town.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay. Go over just a few things. Just to piggyback off of the deputy mayor just a little bit. Some of the other things that are just going on. Again, outdoor activities are good as of May 22nd. Again, they're opening up beaches tomorrow, but our beach and Seawall have been open for passive recreation. And we just ask everyone to just try to keep, the social distancing and clean up after yourselves at the seawall and beach. There are been added garbage cans put in. More garbage cans are on their way to be put down there. So we just ask that you please make sure that you discard your litter in the garbage cans, especially up on the seawall. If you're fishing or anything up there, if you won't mind cleaning up after yourselves, removing anything you have, and then putting it into the receptacles that are throughout the building or throughout the wall. Another one I know the deputy mayor did talk about is, again, as of Monday, the non-essential businesses are open for curbside. So I know here in town, with the help of the mayor, the economic board, and our PAO and mayor and other mayor and council members, you've been submitting names of businesses that have reopened up that are doing the curbside pickups, and you can see that on our website. We do have a list of all the businesses, either non-essential or essential, that are open. And please try to go out and see those residents. Some of them are from Aberdeen that have businesses in town, so try to patronize them and keep them going. But again, all businesses that are open are only for curbside pickup at this time. Just a couple little small things. A comment from our water utility division. This is the time of year when residents start watering their lawns and filling pools. We put together a couple of important reminders before you set those sprinklers and start topping off the pools. It is important to note that water bills are driven by the consumption. The more water utilized, the higher your bill. This is why bills reflecting summer usage are so high relative to the rest of the year. So they ask that you take this opportunity before the weather gets hot to make sure everything is functioning properly. If you do visit our website page to the Aberdeen Township Water Utility page, they have some helpful tips for the residents to check before, so they have no surprises when they receive their water bill. A reminder of our property tax payments must be received by June 1st. Pursuant to the Executive Order 130 issued by Governor Murphy. He did allow Township to authorize the extension of grace periods for the property taxes for the second quarter, which will have to be received by Monday, June 1st of 2020. Just to note that pursuant to the statutory law, interest on these payments, if they're not received by June 1st, is calculated back to the May 1st date. Again, we do have non-contactless payments. You can use the night drop box, which is on the side of the building. Just follow the sign that says night drop and follow the path. It takes you right back to the side of the building, and there's the drop box. You can leave it right there. And again, the tax office is open every day, Monday through Friday. You can reach them by phone or by email. The office is staffed at all times. We talked about the seawalls, and that's it for that part. From the construction department, again, I know I think almost everyone has now talked about it, but again, non-essential construction has started back up again as of Monday, May 18th. So all construction projects that had permits waiting, residents or contractors have been starting to pick them back up and start projects again. All required inspections are either being performed virtually through video or picture, or some are being done on site upon the discretion of the inspector pursuant to the current New Jersey Department of Community Affairs directives. So either it could be an on-site inspection or it could be a virtual inspection. It is approved by the construction official on how the inspection will be handled. Permit applications are being dropped off in the drop box located at Town Hall at the front entrance. There is a box in the front entrance. Anyone that has to drop off applications, drawings, reports of any nature can drop them in that box, and they are checked regularly by the construction department staff. Again, phone calls are being answered and addressed. Permits processed either from the drop box or through mail. Regular business as usual, and again, all regular precautions for the inspectors are being taken as they're now heading back out into the field again. Zoning department processing all zoning applications that are being dropped off or mailed in through the building, and being handled and processed, and then being reported back to to those residents. Again, zoning office is open, so again, you can reach them by phone or emails for any issues that need to be handled. The housing department CO inspections are still being performed, but again, only by virtual means at this time. Again, office is open full time, and all phone calls and emails are being addressed. The code enforcement, again, addressing all complaints as they are received. You can call the code enforcement office. You can call my office if anyone has any issues, and we are going out immediately to check on any problems that they see. Our code enforcer is handling regular code violations for the town. He is also checking on if there's a COVID issue. He has been handling those for us as well, and working with the residents to make sure that everyone's in compliance for quality of life issues. The zoning board and planning board, I have been in contact with our board secretaries, and also for next week we'll be dealing with the mayor and our chairmans to start a process of having the board start starting their meetings up again in June. So we're looking to start putting back our zoning and planning board meetings, and most likely they will start meetings up at their next June meeting. Again, those will be done through the Zoom process like we do with our council meetings. So we're just getting everything set so business can start up again with them. Also, another committee that I did speak with this week to start restarting their board meetings would be the EBC board. Again, sent out conversations to the mayor and to that chairman that if they would like to start that board back up, we can, and it can be done again through the Zoom portal, and they can start their meetings to help with the economic ability of our town. I'll come back to I'll do the CARES Act part last. So I'll just go through the rest of our departments that gave me updates here. Our recreation, we just did finish up the proof of signs for some of our parks that we have to buy for this year. I know I did talk to the Parks Committee, I think, on that as well. So we're going to get, I believe it's about 7 more signs for this year that we're allotted to buy, along with the rider sign that says the Township of Aberdeen. Those are going to be placed. I believe we just did a purchase order for them, so the order will be placed, and then we'll just wait for them to come in. And as they do, we will have them put up at the parks. Again, I apologize, I don't have the actual list of which parks it is, so I'll have that for next meeting, just to give you an update on which ones we are doing. Between our recreation director and Brittany, they're still putting together the YouTube for Zoom classes for the Tiny Tots and senior classes, and most likely should have everything up and running for June for those programs. Some of our vendors are very happy to start doing that. And I know our Tiny Tots liaison is very happy to start doing that. So they're putting together a good program. And once we get them ready to start being shown on the YouTube channel, we'll start a media blast on those so people can start reaching out and seeing those. I'll leave our story times to Brittany, but I know those have been going over very well, and I'll leave her to talk about that. But I'm very happy to see the attendance of people that are catching those on the nights that we do show them. We are still up in the air on summer camp, of course, or Summer Adventures program. Right now, we were just told by the school superintendent that the schools will not be available this summer due to the COVID outbreak. So we are looking at some other ideas, but we don't know yet for sure if we have about, I think, another 2 weeks to make the final decision on summer camp and the Adventures program. So we will be reviewing between the New Jersey Recreation Association, of course, the state of New Jersey and all their directives, and then here in Aberdeen. So we have we're looking at possibly using some of our parks and the programs. If anything, it would start after July 4th, but we're still trying to make sure that if it is implemented, that all the proper guidelines are followed and sanitation or sanitary concerns are all taken care of. The courts will start virtual sessions on Wednesday, May 27th. I've met with the court administrator. I've met with our judge. Both have been taking, they've been doing through the court system, a training session on the Zoom or other virtual programs of how they're going to conduct court. Of course, we'll be using a Zoom function here, but they have got their account set up, and the judge is prepared to start sessions on May 27th. He has been coming in and dealing with, we've been doing the plea by mail system, which has worked out pretty well. And he has been having on the record sessions just on the plea by mail. So we'll report back on how court went on Wednesday at their next council meeting. Okay, DPW. Been out there again a lot these past, since we last talked, working on different parks. Today alone, they were over on Deerfield Park, and putting in, working on the different apparatuses over there. They were putting in the new grounds over the swing sets. I was out there this afternoon taking a look, and they, the job well done by the guys that were out there today. They're continuing with other small park projects, still working on backboards at Midland Park. Basketball courts and backboards for Harrison and Deerfield. As I just stated, they were installing the 5-bar at the playground areas at Harrison and Deerfield. Harrison especially was all totally gone, and now putting that back in, it should be working better once we can start opening up our parks again for recreational use. Other small utility projects, our contractor is out working on the Strathmore pumping station. And then our councilman did speak about the recycling center, and again, our sweeper is out on the roads. And just to piggyback off of what the councilman did say, yes, little I, B, and C sections are this week. May jump into a little bit of next week, depending on how we're doing with weather. And then next week, officially, They will continue any of the unfinished sections, and our third week schedule per our calendar is sections A, D, N, and keep moving on from there. So I know I've had some calls for asking when the sweeper will be in their areas. I am taking a list of if anyone's calling, checking out where they are on the calendar and letting them know, or if it was missed, we'll make sure that the sweeper does get over to your area. The new sweeper just started, I think, right around the last council meeting. So the guys are getting back on duty and checking and catching back up on the schedule. Just a side comment on DPW, but May 17th to the 23rd is National Public Works Week. So again, on behalf of myself, especially from the manager's offices, I do want to thank all of our DPW workers for all their hard work. They are out there every day, even in our shorter staff, because we are doing social distancing with them as well. But even in the smaller manpower, they're still out there every day, still doing their list. They have their work orders, but every day the work order changes and they have to add on something else to their work order. They're being sent down to the seawall or down to the beach area or the parking lots to make some changes because we have, we're trying to abide by some of the social distancing rules. But the guys have been doing a great job, and we're still working on the parks. We can get them up and running for when we can open them up fully. We're redoing all of our basketball rims and poles, and I know council members, you've seen some of the pictures from some of the parks that we finished of what the backboards are looking like in the poles, and really the guys have done a great job on that, and they're continuing to do that on a shorter staff. Same with our roads division guys. Again, everyone's out there working on potholes, and we're just going to keep everybody moving. And I am in consultation with all of our department heads, but we are looking as we keep following our data of how's everything going with the COVID crisis, and talking to our department heads to do a slow, gradual return of the full staff of DPW and Town Hall within the next month. So, we'll get everybody back up and running to a full strength. But again, we're just following what the data is showing to make sure that all of our employees are safe, and also that when they're working with the residents, that both the residents are safe as well. So we're slowly working up. But again, it's a National Public Works Week. So if you do see our trucks driving by or something, please give them a wave, honk your horn, something. Just give them a little shout out as well for the hard work they're doing out there on the streets. And the last thing I'll hit up on is what the mayor was talking about earlier with the CARES Act. Again, that is a federal stimulus package that was sent out. And we did have a conversation with the county of Monmouth earlier this week. And they're going to have basically, as the mayor stated, anything that was not budgeted for due to a COVID issue, PPE, reconfiguring offices, town halls, you name it. You can submit that for reimbursement. I believe it's $208 million was what the county was awarded. They're going to split that up into 3 different portions for reimbursements. One will be due in June. They're looking at possibly August for the next reimbursement. And then the third one, if there's still money allotted, would be probably towards the end of the fourth quarter, December-ish area. But again, there's 53 towns that are going to be submitting, plus the county that are looking for reimbursements. I have to give the finance and purchasing offices a lot of respect. They worked really hard. They have all of our paperwork together. I did sign off on the agreement today and already sent that back to the county administrator. She did acknowledge that she received it. So now we're just waiting for the reimbursement form, and we will start putting our reimbursements in right away. And that's anything from PPE to some reconfigurations in town hall. If there was any overtime requested or needed because of the COVID outbreak, we can put that all in for reimbursement and look for approval from the county, and we will be doing that. This weekend, just as a side note for the COVID, but this weekend we do have one of our contractors coming in that is going to be doing some renovations to town hall for some COVID updates. So when we are able to open up the building to the public, there'll be some safety measures put in for residents and for staff that will be working at all the counters. And if I believe that's pretty much it, Mayor. So you turn everything back to you.
Very good. Thank you, Brian. Now I'd like to call on our CFO if she has any updates on our financial situations, I think, or anything she'd like to add to the county stimulus incentives. So, Angela.
No, we're absolutely ready to try to get as much as we can from the CARES Act. Other than the amendment to the budget, everything's coming along smoothly in such unsmooth times.
Mhm. Good. Well, thank you for everything you're doing to keep us straight ahead, and we do greatly appreciate everything you're doing with the budget. Thank you so much, Angela. Madam Clerk, anything you'd like to add tonight?
I do have one thing. I spoke to the Board of Elections today. They're working on procedures for the primary election that are on July 7th.
Right.
With the executive order of Governor Murphy, they're trying really hard to figure out what we're doing. It looks like it's going to be a almost full vote by mail. But they're going to have 2 voting districts available in Aberdeen. It looks like one will be the municipal building, the other one will be the firehouse on Angel Street. They would like one on each side of town. They will be open for anybody with disabilities that needs help that will be able to vote. Or if you're going to go and vote there, it's only going to be provisional ballot. They will not be a machine that you would be able to vote on. But this again is still in the works. So we have most kind of definite plans, but there's going to be a meeting with Christine in a couple of weeks, and I'll know definite information at that point.
Good. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. At this point, I'd like to call on our engineer, Anthony. Are you still on?
I am.
Oh, good. Well, thank you for joining us tonight. Have we really covered everything relative to your expertise? Was everything properly? Maybe talk a little bit about Deerfield, a little bit.
Sure. So P&A, who is the contractor for the township, started last Monday. They started installing the storm trench, the storm sewers, and digging the trenches. And they had another crew taking out curb and installing the new curb in a different location. All the while, we had the markouts done as per state regs. However, it turned out a significant portion of the cable lines were either unmarked or mismarked. It turns out there's about 3 dead lines that actually still give off a signal. So when the utility contractor goes out there and does the mark out, they actually were inadvertently picking up the dead lines, thinking they were live lines, and marking those. So the contractor, from what I understand, was paying attention to the markouts for the deadlines, thinking that everything else was accounted for, and they were actually hitting the live lines. This actually went on. It happened Monday. It happened Wednesday. I think it actually happened Thursday. And then again, I think it actually happened on one resident. It was just a service. It wasn't the entire neighborhood, but it was one service yesterday on the second week. We have been in constant contact with the utility company, with Altice and Cablevision, trying to get it resolved. The response we keep getting from them is that other than the UtiliQuest markout that we receive, there's nothing more that they can do. We've actually pleaded to have them come out and basically sit on the job site, which they won't do. So we've actually have asked the contractor at this point to tread lightly a little bit more, be a little bit more careful, go a little bit slower. They've been reluctantly agreeing to that. However, we are hoping that we can get Altice to eventually mark out all their lines that they actually are aware of. From what I understand, they think they have them all marked out now. They were out there again today. I know Brian actually was great in helping out with Kathy and trying to get the township rep on the phone to try to help us out. But from what I understand, the response was basically the same. There was nothing proactively that we can do until, and when I was told this by the Comcast representative the Cablevision representative, that until the BPU changes the regs for the markouts, that's the best they can do. So we're trying to be proactive in terms of trying to avoid them before we hit them. However, they basically told us you're at the mercy of the markout, and if you hit them, we'll respond ASAP, but we really can't do anything until you hit them.
And Anthony, let me just piggyback off of you. I meant to say it when I was speaking before, so I kind of forgot. But I was out there again today. I've been out there pretty much both weeks now, every time we get the phone call. But I was out there again today with our CME inspector, Jim, and he did let me know that the UtiliQuest markout gentleman was out again, because I did have a conversation this morning for about 15, 20 minutes with an Optimum construction office supervisor. And we did have a long conversation, and he was going to send out a UtiliQuest truck again to do some more markouts. And our inspector did see them out there, did talk to them, and the gentleman did go up and down again and do some more markings for about the third time now we've had somebody out there. And then again, as Anthony said, myself and my assistant Kathy, we've been with our reps at Optimum, and they understand what's going on. You know, they can't do much. They're office people. They can't do much more than try to escalate the service request if once we put it in. So we do have almost a red phone to Optimum right now through our rep, that if something does happen and it's out, we immediately are to call our rep, and she will escalate the service request to get a truck out there immediately. And as Anthony stated, through him and then me today, I basically was like, you know, can we make it almost like it's a police side job, have a truck out there just to play safe? But they do not do things like that. It's more you have to put the call in. And so even today, the work that was being done by PNA, and then Optimum actually had their own trucks out in the area doing wires and fixing wires. They're out there today and tomorrow. So there's a lot of work being done. Even Jim, our inspector, said he's literally standing side by side the excavators, watching what they're digging, and trying to make sure that the wires are we're not hitting anything. And you know, I did go out again. I've been out there now twice, if not 3 times already. I think twice last week. You know, I see where the markouts are. I see where the flags are. But then when you see where the actual wires are put in place, they're not really in that area. So there's some trouble over there, but we want to get this done as fast as possible. I understand, our residents and the calls I've talked to just about everyone that's called in or has emailed me, and I've chatted with each one of them and tried to get answers. And I think Anthony cringes when he sees my number come up on the phone, but we are all trying to work to get this taken care of, and they will be done soon. And that road will be beautiful, and this issue will be put to bed once everything's done, and they'll have a nice paved, brand new reconstructed road.
Thank you. Anthony, is that it?
That is it, Mayor.
That's enough, huh?
Hopefully.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'd like to call on our Public Information Officer, Brittany. Any updates? How's the HERO program going and the thank you signs?
Hi, everyone. So I wanted to touch on the YouTube channel first really quick. I know Brian brought it up earlier, but like he said, we officially have a YouTube channel now. If you search us in the search bar on YouTube, we're Aberdeen Township NJ. We've had 2 PSAs so far. The first one was the mayor. The second one was myself last night, just giving some updates. We've started the bedtime stories. They premiere every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7 p.m. We always have a different guest reader. We try to coordinate with the different weeks if there's, a week honoring someone in town, first responders, Police Week, which was last week. We had our chief, Rick Del Rojo, read. We've had Robin Swindell, she's a nurse, so she read in honor of Nurses Week. We've had a teacher from Lloyd Road School. I am in the process of getting one of our Public Works guys to hopefully read for us in honor of National Public Works Week. So we've been having a lot of views on that. I just encourage people to check it out. We're going to be putting out more and more PSAs. And we also will be rolling out the Tiny Tots and Me programs and the exercise programs that we usually have in person in town. The next thing is the hero banners. So I actually sat with Panther Press today and went through and proofed and edited all the banners that we had gotten. We have a total of 52 banners that will be going up throughout town. 14 of them are either active or retired police officers as well. The PBA is actually paying for those members. Next week, we will have them in our hands at some point. What we are planning on doing is dividing them up and displaying them on Town Hall lawn to give the families an opportunity to come and see the banners up close and personal before they get put on poles. This is because we won't have a ceremony like we wanted to do for the families beforehand. It is a little delayed this year. We wanted to have them up for Memorial Day, but with everything going on, the project, didn't get through as fast. Besides the banners, we've also been doing the thank you signs that are for all of our essential workers, first responders, and medical providers. We have sold a total of 628 signs. I'm actually delivering 12 to Brick as well tomorrow. We've delivered 22 down to Toms River Lacey area. We have had a total profit of $4,226 from the fundraiser. Just to give you guys an update of what we've been able to do with the money so far is we have provided masks to our fire departments, 30 to Cliffwood, 50 to Oak Shades, 20 to Washington Engine. We have, along with some supplies like Gatorade and chips and things like that, so it's easy to grab on the go if they have a call. We next went to the police departments, and in honor of National Police Week last week, we delivered 40 masks to Matawan PD and 50 to Aberdeen PD. These are, for anybody who doesn't know, these are washable, customizable masks that Panther Press is actually doing for us. They have their seal or their patch, so they are easily identifiable to the community. And along with that, we also delivered 10 trays of food to the police departments in total. So each police department got 5 trays of hot food from the Blue Rock Cafe. We had all intentions of paying for it with the profits of the signs, and Billy Parker, the owner of Blue Rock Cafe, refused to take our money due to what it was for. So we took money and tipped the ladies who helped us get everything into the car. I just want to give a shout out to all of our small businesses. Even as they're struggling and going through this, they're still doing what they can to give back to our communities. So I encourage all of our residents to definitely support our small businesses. We also were able to donate or give cookies to nurses at AFC Urgent Care and Jersey Shore Medical Associates next to Bayshore Hospital. These cookies were actually donated as well. The person who made them would not take money for them. We plan on hitting some of the grocery store workers this weekend, whether it's buying pizza pies or subs and getting them delivered to them. And next week, we plan on also hitting Public Works in Matawan and Aberdeen. And just to give everybody a heads up, how we got the numbers for all the masks that we supplied is we actually contacted those agencies and asked how many would cover them. Bayshore, we bought 30 masks for Bayshore EMS. We're delivering them tomorrow as well to them with some supplies, and actually they bought an additional 120, I believe, to donate to retirement homes and nursing home facilities in the area. So we've been doing awesome with the signs. If anyone doesn't have one yet, reach out to us. Myself and Adria from the Neighborhood Watch program are running it. we're taking Venmo, cash, check, and our cell phones are provided for that. We also have been doing, keeping up with all the COVID information, sending email blast, posting on our Facebook, posting it on our website. If you're not signed up for our notification systems, I urge you to do so as well. That is how we get our information out. The emails, you can actually choose the topics you want to receive information, whether it's general interest or council meetings or community events, whatever it may be, you can actually customize what you'd like to receive information about. And like I have been doing for the past couple meetings since we started Zoom, I'm going to give some of the resources to help out any of our residents going through the pandemic. If there's anything they need, help with or assistance, we like to provide the information to them so it's easy for them to reach out. So the first one would be, I just want to make sure you could see it, the New Jersey Domestic Violence Hotline. This is 1-800-572-7233. This is confidential. It's information and services, including crisis intervention, referral, and advocacy. We just want our residents to remember that even though we are social distancing, if you're in need of help or going through domestic violence, do not be ashamed to reach out. Do not be afraid to leave your home for this. Please definitely reach out to New Jersey Domestic Violence Hotline or call your police department if you need to. The next one is the New Jersey Behavioral Health Helpline. This is providing emotional support and mental health information to individuals. And this number is 1-866-202-4357. If you're experiencing some severe anxiety or anything, we urge you to contact this number. Our next one is the covid19.nj.gov. It's a great resource for individuals looking for any general information regarding COVID. This includes information on the virus itself, where you can get tested, information for business owners, people who are looking for unemployment, renters, landlords, mortgages. You can actually type in your question in the search bar and it will bring up a whole bunch of information for you as well. Next one, for anybody who does not know our website, it's aberdeennj.org. Like I said, you can go on this website, you can sign up for our Nixle, our code red messages, our email blast. You can view any of the departments on, how to contact any of our departments, anything on permits, COA, any department in town, public works, service requests. That website, we urge you to visit frequently. Also, if you text Aberdeen to 888-777, you will get Aberdeen Township updates. That is our Nixle. That is an easier way. If you don't feel like going on the computer and customizing it, you could just text that number right now, and then it will pop up with a message letting you know that you are now going to receive our Nixle text messages. We use that to send out not only COVID-19 updates, but we use it to send out information regarding census or water main breaks or road closures. So this is a great notification system to have no matter what time or what we're going through. And the 24/7 hotline for medical COVID-19 questions is 1-800-962-1253. Again, this is for medical questions regarding COVID-19. And 211 is our general COVID-19 questions. You can dial this number at any time and ask them anything regarding to COVID in general. And the last one that I have for you is if you text NJ COVID to 898-211, that will start giving you text message updates regarding COVID that our government, our state is putting out. It's a great resource as well, and it's quick to get information to you without having to go look for it all the time. So that's everything I have for you guys tonight. Hope everybody stays safe and healthy and enjoys the weather and exercises, but keeps continuing the social distance.
Thank you, Brittany. And just a tiny follow-up to that, the AFC Walk-in Clinic on Route 34 is now providing testing for asymptomatic and also the antibodies test. You can call them for details if you so need a test. Great report, Brittany. And finally, the best for last, our attorney, Michael Agello. Did we break any laws tonight, Michael? Is everything okay?
No, everything's okay. Everything's fine. I don't really have anything to add, except, you know, I agree we got to maintain the social distancing, even though the weather's warming up. I see it even up where I am in Bergen County, people starting to move about a little bit, but most people are being smart, wearing masks and keeping their distance and things. So I would just, you know, urge everybody down in Monmouth to do the same as well and have a nice Memorial Day weekend. I'm sure it's going to be, you know, different than pretty much any that anyone's ever had before. But, you know, as much as the pandemic and the coronavirus has really consumed our lives, I would just encourage people to try to take a moment or two on Monday to pay some respects, or, you know, reach out to anyone that you know that's ever spent any time, you know, in the military, and, you know, just kind of thank them for their service.
Thank you, Michael. Well said. I appreciate it. Now we're at the part of the agenda, if you'd like to look it over for those people who have joined us tonight. I will open this to the public right now on agenda items only. Nothing that it might be considered new business or correspondence or petitions, but it has to be based upon what the agenda had on for tonight. And Brian will probably look for a thumb up or a hand raised or a message on email or whatever. So when Brian sees somebody who might have a question at this point on agenda items only, we'll certainly entertain those. Anything, Mr. Manager?
Give me 1 second. I'm just checking on my screens here. We have a few. And I see none, Mayor, and nothing on email at this time.
Okay, you want to check again? And we just want to make sure.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Looks like we're good, Mayor. There's nothing, no information to residents today.
Thank you, Brian, very much. So we'll get back to do some business, and we'll start with agenda item 6A, ordinance number 5/2020, introduced and passed on first reading by title on May 7th, 2020, and published according to law, is now being taken up for further consideration and public hearing. Affidavit of publication on this ordinance in the Asbury Park Press of May 12, 2020, will be submitted, and is noted that a copy of the ordinance has been posted at Town Hall in the municipal building, and that copies were available to the general public upon request. Madam Clerk, could you read the ordinance, please?
Ordinance of the Township of Aberdeen authorizing the acceptance of a permanent drainage easement over and through portions of land commonly known as 38 West Concourse in the Township of Aberdeen, Monmouth County, State of New Jersey.
Think maybe Anthony could spend 2 minutes on that, Anthony? Is that
Sure.
possible? Thank you.
So essentially, Mayor, what it is you have a storm sewer pipe that straddles a property line between lots 10 and 11. We currently have a 15-foot easement on lot 11, I believe, and this ordinance essentially will give you an easement on the other side of that side property for 10 feet, which will give you a 25-foot easement, which really is what you should have. 20 foot's usually the minimum. This way, if you have to go in there for any kind of repairs or replacement, you have the ability to go on there and do the work without getting consent from the homeowner.
Thank you, Anthony. Councilman Hirsch, can you make a motion to this?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Can we open up the public hearing, please?
Absolutely. Thank you, Madam Clerk. We'd like to open this up to the public for their opinions for or against this? If the manager sees any questions, we'll entertain those.
Yes, I do have one right here. Hold on, please. Jess Moken. Hold on one second. Jess Moken?
Hi, how are you? Can you hear me?
Yes, we do. Please state your name and address for the record.
Sure. Jess Moken, 21 Idlebrook Lane.
Good evening.
Good evening. This is just real quick. Brian, you had mentioned at the parks, in addition to like the permanent signs of the park names.
Ms. Moken,
Yes.
if you can just hold on to that. Right now, they're doing a public hearing on these ordinances. So
Oh my
if you-
gosh, I'm so sorry.
That's okay. But if you could just hold that question till we get to the regular
I'm so
public portion,
sorry.
and I'll
I
make a
haven't
note
been
to come
yelling.
back to you.
Okay.
I'll make a note to come back to you as well.
Okay, sorry.
That's
Oh,
okay.
nothing to be sorry about. Thank you for being on tonight with us. So Councilman Hirsch, would you like to now make that motion?
Yes, Mayor Taglerini, Deputy Mayor Martucci, and my fellow council members, I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance number 5-2020.
Second.
Councilman Cannon,
Yes.
Councilman Hirsch,
Yes.
Councilwoman Kelly,
Yes.
Councilwoman Montone,
Yes.
Councilman Swindell, Councilman Swindell,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Martucci,
Yes.
Mayor Taglerini.
Yes, thank you very much. At this point, I would just like to open up a discussion on the reading of the budget. If there's any public comments on the budget, please let our manager know before we take a motion.
Let's see here. Next page. At this time, Mayor, I see no one on email and no one raising their hand on screens.
I
Try
got
that, Mayor.
dropped a little bit, but we're
There you go.
back on. Okay, so now I'll take a motion from Robert Swindell, Councilman Swindell on this.
To the mayor, the deputy mayor, and my fellow council members, I'd like to make a motion to close public hearing and reserve decision.
Second.
Councilman Cannon,
Yes.
Councilman Hirsch, Councilman Hirsch,
Artie, you're muted.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kelly,
Yes.
Councilwoman Montone,
Yes.
Councilman Swindell,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Martucci,
Yes.
Mayor Taglerini.
Yes, thank you very much. And finally, I'd like to open this public meeting up for discussion on solid waste collection district budget. If there's any comments or questions from the viewing audience.
And Mayor, I see no one raising hands and nothing on email.
Okay, thank you, Brian. Then I'll turn to Councilman Kelly for a motion. Councilman Kelly for a motion, please.
Yes. To the mayor, deputy mayor, my fellow council members, I'd like to make a motion, close public hearing and reserve decision.
Second.
Councilman Cannon,
Yes.
Councilman Hirsch,
Yes.
Councilwoman Kelly,
Yes.
Councilwoman Montone,
Yes.
Councilman Swindell,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Martucci,
Yes.
Mayor Tagliarini.
Yes, thank you very much. And I'd like to call on Councilwoman Montone to make a motion on 7-8, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor Tagliarini, Deputy Mayor Martucci, and fellow council members. I would like to make a motion to introduce ordinance number 6, 2020 on first reading by title and to order the same to be published by summary in the Tuesday, May 26, 2020 issue of the Asbury Park Press, together with notice of its introduction and passage on first reading by title, and that it will be further considered for final passage after public hearing at a meeting of the Township Council to be held on June 4th, 2020 at 7:30 p.m. in the municipal building of the Township of Aberdeen at 1 Aberdeen Square or through Zoom broadcasting.
Second.
An ordinance amending an ordinance entitled, an ordinance fixing the salaries and wages and fringe benefits of various officials, officers, and employees of the Township of Aberdeen, County Monmouth, State of New Jersey. Councilman Cannon,
Yes.
Councilman Hirsch,
Yes.
Councilwoman Kelly, Councilwoman Kelly?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm saying
Councilwoman
yes.
Montone. I couldn't hear. Councilwoman Montone,
Yes.
Councilman Swindell,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Martucci,
Yes.
Mayor Tagliarini.
Yes, thank you very much. And now I'd like to call on Councilman Cannon to make a motion for agenda item 7C, please.
Yes, Mayor and fellow council members, I'd like to make a motion to adopt the consent agenda, which consists of resolutions 2020-79 and 2020-80.
Second,
Second.
Councilman Cannon,
Yes.
Councilman Hirsch,
Yes.
Councilwoman Kelly,
Yes.
Councilwoman Montone,
Yes.
Councilman Swindell,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Martucci,
Yes.
Mayor Tagliarini.
Yes, thank you very much. That brings us to agenda item number 8, which is the hearing of the citizens.
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
can we skip 7B? 7B?
7B, absolutely. Deputy Mayor, would you do the honors, please?
Yes, I will. Mr. Mayor and my fellow council members, I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 2020-78, amendment of the 2020 municipal budget.
Second.
Councilman Cannon,
Yes.
Councilman Hirsch,
Yes.
Councilwoman Kelly,
Yes. Yes.
Councilwoman Councilwoman Montone,
Yes.
Councilman Swindell,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Martucci,
Yes.
Mayor Tagliarini.
Yes, thank you very much. I guess we will proceed to number 8 now. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. So this will be the hearing of the citizens' correspondence, petitions, new business, whatever's on your mind. And I think we do have a guest who'd like to come back on with us.
Let's see here. Ms. Moken, there you go.
Oh,
Okay,
yes.
go ahead.
Sure. So again, it was just 21 Idlebrook Lane, and I was just, Brian, you had mentioned about those temporary signs that are at the parks along with the permanent ones, right? How long are those supposed to stay at the parks? Maybe they could even be recycled to use at newly renovated ones from parks they've been at for some time.
Which signs are you talking about? I'm sorry.
So I was
the actual park sign?
I was assuming you were referencing the township sign.
Yes, we have new signs that the township has a program for putting in new signs that they've started, I believe, last year, and now I'm picking up on it for this year. So the some have signs, some are extremely bleached out, I guess you can say, or unreadable. So it's a process that we're doing. We budget so much in the budget for the year, and they're being transitioned out, and new ones are being put back in.
Oh, okay. So it's not the welcome to your new park sign. That's what I.
It'll just be a straightforward, and I apologize, like I said, I don't have the actual sign with me, but it's just a regular, it says Township of Aberdeen, and it's the name of the park sign on there. That's it.
Oh, okay. How long are those welcome to your new park signs staying at the parks?
The which ones?
Welcome to your new park, for
There's
example,
only
in the
one of
I
those in
section.
town. It's at Ivy Hill.
Ivy
Yeah.
Hill.
Yeah.
She lives on Idlebrook, right? So
Yeah.
there's one in Ivy Hill because that's the only park that stopped over the winter.
Yeah, there's
Okay.
still more work. There's still more work
That
to be
sign, yeah, that sign is at that park because there's more work to be done there. But so the answer is it'll be there until hopefully the
completion.
berm and the slide and whatever the parks, what Margaret and Connie and Fred were working on is ultimately there. But there's only one of those in town. Brian's
Yeah.
talking about the maroon and white sign.
Okay.
There's one in
Okay.
Ivy Hill. There's one of those going to be at there's going to be at every park when it's brand new. Or
When is that phase 2 at the I section park expected to be completed by?
Hopefully it should be done by the end of this year, because that's on for, we're in final designs right now, and that's what the councilwoman was talking about earlier, that we have meetings coming up in the next 2 weeks.
Okay,
And then
so possibly
that
by the end
project
of the
will be
year.
done. Yeah, we did, we approved that, I think we did that either 2 meetings ago. We approved the work to be done. Now we're just finalizing and finishing up stuff with the county, because that was one of the grant projects for the town.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if Ms. Moak and Fred here, how you doing?
Good, thank you.
Good. As Margaret alluded to before, we'll be meeting with the engineer that we hired to do the parks. And what we'll be doing is we'll be finishing up Ivy Hill with that in the mountain, the hill slide, which I just can't wait to see that particular item. And it's just been tied up a little bit by the county, who had a couple of questions about Ivy Hill Park. And in Storyland is tied to a grant. That meeting, as Councilwoman Montone said, should be as early as next week. And we should be able to not only finish those 2 parks, Storyland and Ivy Hill, then we'll proceed with Fordham and Bucket Park as our 2020 roads. So we're getting there. And just a little bit extra, if we didn't have this pandemic, we were hoping that there would be sponsorships to help recoup some of the money on those brand new signs that say welcome to. And we all wanted every sign in every town to be a certain look that matched. So wherever you went, you knew you were in Aberdeen. So hopefully when this pandemic is over, and if we can sell some sponsorships, we'll even recoup some money on those signs.
Okay, great. Thanks for all the information.
Thank you for being on tonight. Anyone else, Brian?
Well, let's see here. Does not look like it, but let me check my last screen. Excuse me. No, that looks like it's it, Mayor. No emails and no hands being raised.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Brian, for checking on that for us. And so in closing, before I take a motion, I just want to thank all of you for spending your evening with us. And as you can see, we're still doing the very best we can to keep you informed on everything that we learn to share with you. And on behalf of all of us, we just wish you the best of health and stay safe and practice your social distancing. And if you must go out, especially to a supermarket, to wear a mask. And on a relatively sad note, we will be getting together this Monday at Town Hall and also at the VFW post. So in closing tonight, I'd just like all of you who are viewing and listening tonight to remember our fallen military heroes. As I said earlier in the meeting, we're here because of them. This Monday is Memorial Day, and if you could pause at 3 p.m., as our attorney had said earlier, in honor of them, this would be absolutely terrific. We also have to keep in mind all those we lost to COVID-19. And though the council would much rather be inspecting one of our fire companies and visiting the VFW post, to honor all our fallen heroes. We look forward to hopefully being back to our traditional Memorial Day next year. And I was reading up on this and I found a pretty darn good quote from President Obama, who said it best: "Our nation owes a debt to its fallen heroes that we can never fully repay." So keep that in mind. We wish we were going to be out there Monday on Memorial Day, but circumstances will permit us from doing that. So I thank you all again, and if I could have a motion to adjourn, I would like to entertain that.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Second.
In favor of that?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody. Enjoy your evening at home.
Good night. Have a good
Night,
one.
all.
Good night,
Good
everybody.
night.
Stay safe.
Thank you all.
Memorial Day.